So now let's talk about final expense lead generation. This presentation is going to be perfect for you. If you're new to final expense telesales, you're wondering what kind of leads are working, maybe you're already experienced in the business, you're frustrated with what you're working. And today I'm going to deliver you my opinions and some facts about what's good for final expense lead generation. The goal here is to empower you with options and resources so that you can work successfully in the final expense space, because after all, leads are the lifeblood of the business of final expense, so you need to have good ones. Okay. So, fundamentals of lead generation. What is a lead? This is a good question. It sounds so basic, but sometimes the simple questions are the best. A lead is only somebody who's expressed interest in your product. And it's a marginal level of interest. When I say margin, it's like it could be just this much, it could be this much. I don't know, but it's usually closer to this than this. All right. I can tell you what a lead is not. A lead is not a sale. Guaranteed, at least. A lot of leads turn into sales, but many of them don't either. A lot of that depends on you. Guess what? You and your ability to close the sale. Okay. And why is that the case? Well, somebody who is a lead, all they're saying is I might be interested. Okay. I need to know about the carrier. I need to know about the agency. I need to know the agent. I need to know about the premium. I need to know what's the company. There's a lot that has to be handled before they can confidently say, I'll buy. And that only makes sense. That's rational. That's what you or I would do. And that's where we come in as salespeople, to take a lead with maybe marginal interest all the way to the end to a sold person who now has a policy and has made us money, right? Your lead focus should be on fresh, quality leads in the long term. Now, we do in our free lead model work agents initially with age leads, and we do at some level have all of our leads or all of our agents work age leads because there's money in them to uncover them. But part of the reason we do that in the beginning, it's easier to teach them on age leads. We've already acquired the cost. They can go do some reps on some live prospects, make some sales, but doesn't cost us as much, frankly. So age leads do have a place, I think, in getting some initial reps for sure. But long term, as you're making sales and are successful, definitely your focus should be on fresh quality leads. People who express interest now are a lot more likely going to buy than an age lead from 5 years ago. Not saying that they wouldn't, but I'll take my chances with a fresh lead over just something that's, many, many years old. Why you must have leads to succeed? Well, because you don't have a business without leads. I mean, it's pretty simple, right? You got to have people to talk to. You're probably not going to cold call. Cold calling is effectively dead. Pretty much everybody's on DNC now. There's very few households with landline phones that aren't on DNC. It's just not a model that's viable. You got to have leads. That's just the way it is. This is not a referral-based business. It's not a friends and family-based business. It's a lead business. It's just the way it works. Outbound versus inbound. So let's talk about and define both. Outbound leads are leads that call you. Imagine you're sitting in your office in your underwear, and you're waiting for the phone call to come in from a TV lead or some telemarketed lead. And the idea is, the intent's going to be a lot higher because they are calling off of an ad. That's an inbound lead. Excuse me. What I just defined there is an inbound lead. They come into you while you wait on them. Outbound lead is the opposite. You call the person, they answer unexpectedly, and then you go into a sales pitch. So what's better? So for me, I prefer outbound leads because I have control over the inputs. I can usually get more work done with outbound leads than inbound leads because sometimes inbound leads are out of my control. I can't necessarily control the flow as much, and the costs sometimes are pretty prohibitive too as well. I think we'll get into that a little bit more. But for me, I think most agents should be focused on outbound leads because the outbound process teaches you how to sell well. And when you have that skill set, that anytime you can pick up the phone and make a sale, like you're never going to go hungry, right? So it's just such a powerful thing to develop as a first-time agent. What's working in final expense telesales? Let's talk about the strategies on lead gen that are definitely working at the filming of this, which is May 2024. Internet leads. So internet leads are working. I would call internet leads all-encompassing. You could throw social media leads into the mix there too as well, like a Google ad leads. Those sometimes work. Social media is probably the most popular form of marketing. That's what we do at the Dig Agencies, predominantly on Facebook. We're going to start testing TikTok and some other platforms. But these absolutely positively work if you've got a great ad, a great funnel process to collect that information. TV-generated leads absolutely work. There's agents in my agency that have tried TV leads that have complained about them. These are inbound leads where they call you off a TV commercial. I'm not privy to them to start with just because they're more expensive. It's painful to get burned when the $80 lead that you bought doesn't convert versus the $7 or $8 Facebook lead. And I'm not sure the intent is quite better. I think arguably to some extent it can be, but you got to overcome all the same hurdles anyway that somebody calling in on a TV lead does that you would on an outbound lead. That's really what's working. So let's talk about what's not working in the final expense telesales lead space. Telemarketing leads. Please, dear God, never buy telemarketed leads. Telemarketed leads are probably generated overseas by a third world call center that doesn't follow federal DNC guidelines and pans the leads off to you, and you end up getting the lawsuit brought to you by a professional plaintiff alleging a DNC class action lawsuit. Okay, so I don't like telemarketed leads for that reason, and there's just not really any people you can cold call anymore to get those leads generated. You have to use these data leads, and they're likely going to be illegal by the end of the year or 2024 because of the requirements now by the FCC to require one-to-one explicit consent to generate a lead. The data leads are something that have been around for about 7 or 8 years, and they've just blew up the telemarketing space. But that's all going to go away, thankfully. Direct mail for telesales does not work. It's too expensive. A good direct mail lead is going to be $50+ per lead. A quarter of them won't have a phone to call them, so the actual cost is even higher. Just if you're intent on spending that much money for a lead, just buy TV leads or just buy a bunch of Facebook leads. And then non-TV inbound leads. So these would be live transfers that aren't from a television ad. Don't do them for the same reasons for telemarketed leads. They're all generated overseas. They usually don't. The call centers don't follow DNC regulations, and you'll end up getting sued. The most important topic, should you buy leads or get them free? So let's talk about why we do free leads and why most agents should get free leads. So the benefit to buying leads is hopefully you're in an agency that will pay you more because of it versus doing free leads. So that's part of it. Buying leads, you can control, ideally, the quality of the leads. If you know how to self-generate leads on Facebook, you can control the creative, meaning you can control the message that's delivered. You can ensure a higher quality of lead because you're in control of the marketing. That's not quite buying leads. That's self-generating leads, but it's along the same lines. Buying leads, you don't have to know anything about marketing. You can just buy them and go and hopefully get a better commission off the sales. But the reason I'm not a fan of that to the extent that I used to be is really because of what I've discovered in the free lead program. More agents are consistent on free lead programs because they don't have the emotions that come from buying leads getting all up in their head. Risking money is an emotional endeavor for most of us, and a lot of people can't do it effectively and curtail their emotions. A lot of people say they can, but I'm here to tell you 90% of you can't. And that's not a jab, it's just reality. And the more emotional you are, the more emotion you get from other people who are close to you, your performance gets affected, all the stuff I've said earlier. This is the benefit a free lead program can provide. You just don't have that pain of wasting potentially your money. You start at zero every week, and you can only make money, not lose it. It's pretty powerful.